Coming up on Main Street, art is alive in Berea. Our journey begins with a native Kentucky woodworker who hasn't forgotten the value of handmade. Across town, we'll find a husband and wife team that work to keep traditional designs alive. For our third stop, Old Town Berea, where you can visit Santa year-round. We wrap up down the street with an artist who breathes life and color into molten glass. Straight ahead on Main Street.
Funding for Main Street was provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Additional funding was provided by the Kentucky Fund for Independent Production and by viewers like you who support quality programs such as Main Street that appear only on public television.
Hello and welcome to Main Street. I'm Barbara Deeb. On this edition of the show, we're going to travel to Berea, Kentucky, the arts and crafts capital of the Commonwealth. We'll meet 5 individuals who represent individuality and creative expression. These artists' successes represent hard work, decades of training, and the talent that only Berea can offer. Warren May has spent a lifetime working with wood. He was born and raised in a 2-story log home in Carroll County, the youngest of 10 children. He spent more than 30 years as a professional furniture maker, and the unique thing is that he uses woods that are native to central Kentucky, like poplar, cherry, and walnut.
Kentucky furniture seems to be more substantial, a lot more well-balanced, softer in appearance, very confident in its stance, real proud stance. I think that was just the real bold spirit of Kentucky on the frontier in the early 1800s. On my designs for furniture, I really draw a lot on the heritage of Kentucky pieces. Here in my studio, we actually have a full range of furniture styles. I do a lot of natural edge pieces using the natural shapes of the lumber as it comes from the sawmill. I process a lot of my own wood, walnut and cherry also. Sometimes I'll make a piece just specifically from a pretty piece of wood and let that dictate a little more of the designs. Other pieces I will do in case pieces or table pieces. Also do some smaller, purely classical pieces with turned legs, fluted legs, a little more inlay details. Sometimes in my designs, they're not totally historical. Sometimes I feel like the pieces need to be a little more organic. I use a lot of wooden pulls. My leaf pulls or hand-carved pulls weren't of the original designs, but I feel like they flow really well. And they work pretty well with the interpretation of Kentucky designs. Generally, I will get a concept of a piece of furniture in my mind and then choose the wood appropriately. Sometimes all at once, sometimes just working with a few select pieces. Once the wood is selected, I can let my employees actually do some of the machine processing, like straightening the wood on the joiner, planing the wood on the planer, roughing the wood down to finished dimensions. On the drawer dovetailing, which takes literally hours or days, we work 2 to 3 days probably on one drawer. I'll do the designing and planning and marking of the dovetails. I usually let my employees go ahead and practice their hand skills on those. I want the piece to be as nice as it can be. Once I decide to make a particular table or chest or another piece, I want that wood and that piece of furniture to be as nice as it can be in the finished product. It is very exhausting, very demanding to really make a nice piece of furniture. We'll do the basic construction. Usually the decorative touches, the beading on the drawers, the inlays. Usually we'll take 2 extra evenings. It's very, very intense work. I usually do that totally alone so I can just concentrate on the intricate details. Doing the inlays on the furniture, first of all, it's a very high risk operation because you're putting it right on the cabinet or the drawer after the piece is basically totally finished. So I've developed a few aids, a few templates, and even made some of my own tools to ensure that it will be as successful as possible. The hardest part of the inlay is actually cutting the depression or the lines, actually the void in the wood. Most people are surprised that you really do cut down into the wood at least a 1/16 of an inch, and then you fill that opening with the actual contrasting inlay. It's pretty neat when you get all the inlay ready to go, and when you put the oil on the piece, you first see the color of the wood for the first time. And then you know you're getting pretty close to the finished piece. All my pieces are meant to be fully functional. All my drawers really work and they really lock. The finishes are all durable enough to really use. Sometimes the pieces are dining tables. We put more of a dining type oil finish. Other desks have a real durable finish. The Kentucky style is classical enough in form to be really versatile in a designer setting. Even one piece by itself on a wall is going to be very distinctive as maybe more of a special piece. But even mixed with other nice furniture, it's going to say that it's high quality. When someone buys a piece and they actually have it in their home and see that it really is a special work of art, many times they will come back. They'll come back regularly to see what pieces are available, because we have everything finished in my shop here. But that's a very great compliment when people want to buy more than one piece. If I couldn't make furniture, I feel like I wouldn't be doing the full range of woodworking, everything that I should be doing.
Berea, Kentucky is home to several working artists, but none perhaps more talented and versatile than husband and wife team Neil and Mary Colmer. They're musicians, weavers, and storytellers, and so much more. Let's take a look and a listen.
I came to Berea to be a freshman in 1967 and spent my freshman year working in Boone Tavern Hotel in the dining room and didn't really enjoy the work. So the following year I got a job in the college weaving shop, and I spent 10 hours a week in there for the rest of my college career. And by the end of my senior year, I decided I'd rather be a weaver than anything else. So now it's 40 years later and I'm still weaving.
I did my first weaving in 5th grade as a class project. And when I married Neil, I became the one to do the hems and the seams, and we planned the weavings together. And I did a little weaving during the early days, but when the kids left home, I told them if they didn't come and get their blue jeans and old clothes, that I would learn how to weave rag rugs. And they didn't come and get their clothes. So I started making rag rugs, and now I'm a recycle artist doing soap savers to wash dishes out of recycled threads, and reusable paper towels, and just enjoying it so much, having a wonderful time.
On some pieces, I don't have to think very much about what's happening on the loom, and I can go to Bermuda. But on some things, I have to count very carefully, and I have to be very much in the moment and watch every move that I make. So it can vary from very meditative to very awake and aware of every move. There are still a few of us around that do these old traditional patterns. We're becoming fewer and farther between, though, because the work is intricate and slow. It's very time-consuming, and there are not a lot of weavers who are still doing some of these traditional styles.
Well, we're doing more mentoring and teaching as we get older, because we realize that there may not be another cornshuck doll maker. There probably will never be anybody doing the elf houses again. And the elf houses are so fun to teach. I love doing classes with little children and have them gluing and pasting and sticking glitter and twinkles and jewels all over rocks. It's fun. I really enjoy teaching.
Well, I enjoy meeting people, and having our shop open to the public allows me to greet people from all over the world and share a little information about hand weaving, and that's very enjoyable for me. And it's also providing a service to the city by having a place that people come to that they're entertained, get a little information, a little education. And I really enjoy that. And I also enjoy the creative process and being able to sit in here even when there are no visitors and just weave up a storm on a loom.
Have a nice day, folks.
When somebody buys a larger piece, they often come back again and again, and we become close. It's a marriage even.
It's like they're taking a little piece of me with them because I enjoy the work so much. I feel like there's part of what I am goes out the door with each piece.
And the bigger pieces, I feel like I've sent a child into the world, and I grieve. I miss it, and I think of it often. I take pictures so I can look back at my little children who've gone out into the world. But I also feel like I've made a family friend.
The word artisan has been used of late to describe what we do, because that really is what we are. We take known techniques and existing patterns and apply them to projects for a special need. And that's what artisans do. That's what we are. But we're also artists in that we can create these things ourselves as well as use existing work.
I like taking something that would be thrown away and making it fulfill its destiny. You know, make something new out of something old is just a thrill, just a thrill. And to see people's face when they look at a little pile of stones that I've glued together in a special way, and they look at it and it takes their breath away, it's like I'm on their vacation. Well, the two of us together become one. It's a marriage of talents that is, it doubles who you are. You know, you become bigger because you're two people being one. He puts the warp on the loom and I fill it up.
It's a Kentucky version of an English.
Former schoolteacher Lindy Evans has found a second career in her love of dolls and Christmas. Her life-size Santa evokes the joy and wonder of the season, leaving the viewer with the understanding that Santa is real, Let's take a look.
My parents always made Christmas really special. And of course, I still believe in Santa Claus. But as a child, I believed very heavily in Santa Claus. And I remember that feeling of getting up on Christmas morning and there'd be a new doll and a bed and clothes. That doll would have clothes, beautiful clothes that my mom had made. It's just something I've always enjoyed and liked, and never dreamed I'd have a second career making dolls. This clay, it's warm, it's a little sticky, so it will stick real nice. In 1992, I decided that I wanted to have a hand-sculpted Santa Claus. I had always been a big Christmas fanatic, and I had never seen any Santas that I liked. I spent about 1.5 years researching, going to juried handmade shows, looking for artists that did sculpt. And after about 1.5 years, I finally took a lump of clay and sculpted the first face, which I thought looked like E.T. with a beard. Then in turn, I thought he was really good. So I decided I'd try again. Surely the second try would be better than the first. And then I made a third one, and I just kept working. And I had friends that admired them and liked them, and Santa just became what I enjoyed doing. Many of them are object-driven. In other words, there's a chair or a trunk or a toy or a piece of fabric that I can imagine an image either sitting in or wearing. From there, then I decide, well, what's the emotion he's gonna show? Is he an American Santa, jolly, or is he more Father Christmas and more sullen? That kind of depends. That once I make that decision, then I know where my face is going. And then from there, it's just take the clay and go to work, and hopefully it turns out like I envisioned in my head. Sometimes not as good as my vision, and other times surprisingly better than what I imagined. Older people find the life-size guy, and they come up to him and they talk to him, and they have a look of awe on their face, probably the same look they had as a child on Christmas morning. I have seen that from middle-aged women to young women to children to older women. People have written me notes about finding me at the show and seeing the big Santa and what it was like to see him, and thanked me for doing him, and just written to me about experiencing or seeing my work, and I think it gave them joy. The elves, the woodland elves, they're a real break. They're a nice break after your Christmas season when you need a break from Santa to pursue the elves a little more. I live in Berea, and we have wonderful woodlands around here, and several years ago I picked up acorns, and we have lots since I'm in the shop. A lot of my work has changed based on what tourists tell me or tourists have to say, or what I think maybe they're looking for too. So it's given me a chance to explore the elves, and I think that's what Berea reminds me of. So if someone wants to take a piece of Berea home, then a little woodland elf with Berea acorns for a hat is just the perfect thing. And about the past 3 months, I've really been working pretty heavily on these and wanted to have a large enough collection to make a nice display. Gives me a break from the mohair. They're fun, they are quirky. Your anatomy doesn't have to be quite as exact because they can have big hands and big feet and big noses, and lets you deal with personality a lot more. I think I'm more of an elf than any direct relation to Father Christmas.
Hand-blown glass has the quality of frozen water. Light plays intricate games through the colors and curves. Glassblower Michelle Weston loves that quality about hot glass, and while her work looks very fragile, it's actually quite sturdy and beautiful. Let's take a look.
All of the designs are based on natural forms, like the flower holders actually have a really delicate little leaf that holds the stem for the flower up. The bowls and all the paperweights are based on water and how glass and water both can transmit light. So I'm looking at a lot of reflections. I'm really attracted to natural things and natural forms, and one of the things when I was a painter that I liked to paint, I paint obsessively, was water, moving water, water and light, how light reacts going through water, and how you get ripples and shadows and how things are distorted, and glass is identical. It's like playing with liquid water. So that's one of the things I get to play with, and part of it is the excitement of doing it. It's a really physical kind of art, which you don't get with a lot of other things, so that's really appealing as well. And it's also a very immediate sort of artwork. Within 10, 15 minutes, an hour at the most, I have a completed piece, and while it goes into the kiln I don't get to see it till the next day. It's done. It's a very you can have an idea and work out all the details and get it done very, very rapidly, so you can run through a lot of ideas very quickly, which is cool too. Like yesterday we were practicing putting the spirals on a new vase shape that we were doing. And within a few minutes, that vase had evolved into a new form that I think we'll do. We're going to continue with. So it's just a matter of getting in there and trying some different things and seeing how things work together and what needs to change. So one of the things that I'm really interested in when I'm working with the glass and trying to figure out what to make is I don't want to force the glass into shape. So when I'm working with it, I don't want to force it with the tool. I want to use the most natural shape and use heat and gravity to move the glass so it doesn't have a lot of tool marks. If you look at the glass that I'm working with, I'm really interested in the line and the curve of the piece being very continuous and not having sort of abrupt shifts in shape. So I tend to use an approach that's really hands-off, not a lot of molds, not a lot of tools, not a lot of manipulation that way. A lot of glassblowers sort of frown at you when you say you're a production artist or a production glassblower, but I really enjoy it. I actually enjoy the repetitiveness of it, and it's a little bit like meditation when you're working and you're doing the same process over and over. I'm still paying attention to what's going on, but my mind is also free to explore other things that I'm thinking about and things that I want to try, and what's the next step kind of. So it's actually really relaxing on a day when I can sit down and just continue working. A lot of fun is actually the shop and seeing how people react to it, because I work with glass every day and I forget how special a material it is and how unusual it is to be able to do what I do. And I forget that people, I have a lot of people that come in and they're seeing liquid glass for the first time in their lives and they get excited about it. And you just see them sort of waking up to something new, which is cool. And little kids too. I've got a whole crew of small children that come through here in the summertime. I'm going to be a glass blower. I'm going to be and it's like, well, sorry. But so that's a lot of fun too, just seeing how people react to what I'm making, what I'm doing. It's pretty cool. One of the fun things about the shop is I can test out new ideas. There are things that I love to make, that I'm excited to make, and it's really cool when I put it in the shop and other people are excited to see it. And sometimes I make something that I'm really excited about and really thrilled about, and nobody cares. Nobody else sort of sees what I see in it, or it doesn't appeal to them in the same way that it appeals to me. So the store's a really fun way to test out how people are going to react to things. And I also, when I'm out here, I can hear what they're saying about what they're seeing, and it's kind of interesting. I think the fact that it's glass actually scares them a little bit. They have this conception that it's very fragile, and they're afraid that they're going to break it if they try and use it. You know, I make drinking glasses, I make functional things, they don't want to use them. It becomes, because it's glass, it feels very precious to them, and I don't want it to feel precious. I want them to pick it up and handle it and enjoy it, and, you know, take it out in the sunlight and look at it. And so one of the tricks sometimes is just physically hand them the piece. If you see them looking at something and you know they want to pick it up, but they're sort of afraid to, just hand it to them. And that sort of gets them over that. But I think walking into the shop, I think the first thing that draws them is color. And they find their favorite color and they go straight to it, which is cool.
For more information on any of the people or places showcased on Main Street, visit our website at wkyupbs.org. Well, our journey has come to an end, but don't let it stop there. We welcome any questions, comments, or story ideas. You can write to us at Main Street, care of WKYU PBS, 1906 College Heights Boulevard, number 11034, Bowling Green, Kentucky, 42101. Or call us at 270-745-2400 or 1-800-599-2424. We hope you've enjoyed this look at the artists from Berea, Kentucky, who are helping to keep the arts in the bluegrass alive. Until next time, I'm Barbara Deeb, and remember, we're just around the corner on Main Street.